Good day, everyone. So we'll talk about our first chapter. So this is our first lecture video for chapter 1, Internet of Things, an overview. So what are the potential capabilities of IoT? Now, the Internet of Things, or IoT, has gained significant mindshare, let alone attention, in academia and the industry, especially over the past few years. Now, the reason behind this interest are the potential capabilities that IoT promises to offer. Okay, so there are two aspects of this. So there's the personal level, then there's also the business side. So on the personal level, it paints a picture of a future world where all the things in our ambient environment are connected to the internet and seamlessly communicate with each other to operate intelligently. Okay, so maunang goal. Okay, maunang murag ato ang ma-imagine nga future nga we would like to achieve when it comes to IoT. So kaning ambient environment, so when we talk about ambient, we talk about kung unsa tong sa palibot, okay, or the surrounding environment, or the surrounding, so our surroundings. So we would notice that in our surroundings there are things, let's say our chairs, our tables, our appliances, of course our computing devices, most especially our cell phone. So kana. Now, the ultimate goal is to enable objects around us to efficiently sense our surroundings. Mura bitaw kita, we as a human, we are like a boatload of sensors. Okay, so we have basically pila ka senses. Okay, we have 5 or 6 senses. Now, the thing here is these inanimate objects, we want somehow to provide them with a certain level of intelligence, at least in a sensing manner. Okay, so to a point that it's inexpensive. Okay, we could actually let a certain object communicate to another object, or through the internet. Okay, but sa una, okay, it's quite expensive. Okay, but now it's slowly becoming more inexpensive to an extent that it is commercially viable na. Okay, so when we say something is commercially viable, a normal person could feasibly afford it, nga dili bita ingon nga mahal kaayo. Okay, so practical kibale. So to have a sense, the objects around us, to have a sense in our surroundings, inexpensively communicate, okay, and ultimately create a better environment for us. One where everyday objects act based on what we need and like without explicit instructions. Okay, so murag kibali atong driving force is ang atong convenience ani. Okay, so let's say we would like, slowly we are becoming accustomed to this. Okay, sa una, if we want to turn off our TV, okay, so pinakauna pa yun, wala pa na yung remote control. Okay, so ato pa nang tuklokon yun mismo sa TV. Okay, so nanay remote na yun, nanay wireless remote control. Okay, we could say that that is a form of sensor. So with that, we could communicate our TV using our remote control. Okay, so karon pa jud naanatay mga ginatawag nga voice enabled nga mga commands. So naanay mga certain electronics sa ato ang mga appliances, let's say our TV, in which we could just simply say turn on TV or turn off TV. Okay, naputay ginatawag, very common nga application is using this with assistants. Okay, so mga voice assistants or virtual assistants. Okay, so mao na siya. Now, what we would like further is kato explicit instruction man gihapon to. What we would like further to happen is murag automated na ang mga butang. Dili na, let's say murag behavioral based na kibali. So without us telling let's say certain scenario sa inyong setup, going back sa tong TV nga if we murag ma-sense na niya ba, or it could get an idea, quote unquote an idea, that whenever we move in our living room, then once we settle in a chair or in our couch, automatic na mo on ang TV. So nanay mga ana, so mao na tong pasabot na they get to sense the environment kani atong mga butang sa palibot without any explicit instructions. Okay, so ano siya, that is in our more personal nga convenience. Okay, now for the business side, it is more ambitious. Okay, still leveraging on the automation. Okay, so it includes leveraging automatic sensing and prompt analysis of thousands of service or product related parameters, and automatically taking action before a service experience or product operation is impacted. Okay, so actually existing na ni sa kanang mga traditional nga business in which there are certain mechanism nga mag-alert nga, let's say a certain stock is low. Okay, or in, let's say, in a plant in which it is very sensitive about the temperature, the humidity, so nanay murag mechanism ana to inform that there is something wrong or something needs to be addressed. But mao lagi more on automation. Okay, not only that, in IoT, not only that it will alert, but naa na pud say action nga himuon. Okay, without human intervention, or as minimal human intervention as possible. Okay, so this also includes collecting and analyzing massive amounts of structured and unstructured data from various internal and external sources such as social media. Okay, so what do you mean by structured and unstructured data? Okay, so when we are, let's say, when we are collecting information, let's say we want to get a list of students. Okay, let's say we want to get a list of students. Okay, now we could structurally have that in a way that the student will fill up their names, will fill up their year level, then their course. So structured na siya. Okay, we could say there's a structure for that. Now, posible nga ma-unstructured na siya. Let's say you are not labeling that. So posible nga ang ipangbutang lang sa estudyante sila lang ngalan, ay uban nga magbutang sa ilahang course, na uban wala. And naapag yun, even though magbutang tag mga label, let's say name, course, name, year, level, and course, even though we provided that, na may lahi-lahi gud nga pamaaging magsulat sila, especially if we didn't give them instruction, or the instruction is unclear to them. Naiuban nga magsulat sa ngalan is una ang ilahang last name, naiuban nga una ilang first name. So that is one, let's say that is one problem there. Another is pagbutang sa year level, naiuban magbutang og 1 lang for first year, or naapoy uban nga magbutang og 1 dayon ST, naapoy magbutang og first good nga word. So naapay factors like capitalization nga na. So with that, it's not really structured, it comes unstructured na dayon, kay wala tay ingon nga fix nga makaingon ta nga basta kana nga data year level na siya, we could readily accept that as valid data. So kaning structured and unstructured data man god, okay, we are concerned with the validity of the data that is being provided. Okay, so going back, it could be able to collect and analyze this. Okay, so take note, both structured and unstructured. So kuan man god pod, it's not really, medyo hassle po na siya. Okay, hassle na sa mag-collect, and possibly pod nga samukan pod ang, let's say, atong respondents ana nga sige tag ingon nga dapat ing ana imong ibutang, dapat ing ana nga kuan. So there's that aspect. Okay, so kana, so we have unstructured data from internal and external sources such as social media. Okay, kana karon atong mga social media, I think dili very familiar na gid mo ani. Okay, so kaning Facebook, we have YouTube, Instagram, kana these are all potential, okay, sources of income for businesses. Okay, so kana, you might have been observing this na mga ads nga targeted sa inyo ha. Targeted ads refers to ads that is being displayed in typically na social media nga based sa inyong behavior on what you are searching for. Okay, some of this might be unsurprising to you, kay let's say nag-search mo ana sa marketplace, dayon let's say nag-search mo og ana nga cellphone, then later on you'll get to observe that Facebook, okay, would suggest you contents about that cellphone or shop that sells that cellphone. So murag iinganyo mo ba? Okay, so that is unsurprising kay namoy gihimo beforehand, but sometimes it comes to a surprise nga bisag wala mo nag-type, okay, siguro nakapansin mo ani, na let's say nagstorya-storya lang mo that naan yung cellphone sa palibot, naka-connect sa internet. Storya lang mo nga, uy, tsada ni nga cellphone ni nga anak. Okay? Naiuban instances, naiuban scenarios, okay, in which they claim nga nakadungog ang cellphone ana and inadvertently nag-provide na dayog mga ads ana even though you did not explicitly write that or search that on your cellphone. So naay mga ana. Okay, so naapon na aspect dayon sa ethical, security and privacy. So we'll get to talk more about that later in our course. Okay, so muna these are the potential capabilities in a personal and a commercial or a business level. Okay? Now, history of the term. We already know how we define things. Okay? Elementary pa ta, kabalo na ta. So, ng things, natay living things, non-living things. Okay? So, things here, okay, kanang unsay butang atong makita. Okay? So, internet, okay, as an IT, you already know this. Okay? Internet, this is the connection of networks across network. Now, together, Internet of Things, okay, this was initially first coined by Kevin Ashton in a presentation he made at Procter & Gamble in 1999. So, relatively, bago pa gyud siya nga term. Okay? 1 year shy of 2000. Okay? So, bago-bago pa. Now, what he said there is, it's linking the new idea of an RFID in Procter & Gamble's supply chain. Okay? So murag nag-introduce sila o let's say he introduced the concept of implementing RFIDs in the supply chain of the Procter & Gamble nga company. Okay? So to the then red hot topic of the internet. Even the internet is quite young as a technology. Okay? So na-imagine ni Kevin Ashton that we could integrate this let's say RFID in our supply chain or in our company. We could integrate it across the internet. Okay? So one of the driving reason there would be more on the maintenance, more on the monitoring. This is actually the driving force sa IoT. The maintenance and monitoring. So he said, the Internet of Things has the potential to change the world just as the internet did, maybe even more so. Okay? Needless to say, internet really gave a huge impact in our lives. Okay? Across generations, okay? Ang ato ang generation pinaka-reliant. Okay? We could even say that we are very reliant sa internet. Okay? There's even a thing called internet addiction. Okay? So naing ana. Now, of course, not all things connected to the internet are bad. Okay? There are more advantages, more benefits. Okay? So, nana tayo mga online shopping. Okay, of course, we get to communicate with people around the world. Okay? Then, isa pa. Mo na po dayon okay? Ang pag-introduce sa uban nga butang into the internet. Okay? So, Kevin Ashton has envisioned that it could even surpass how the internet impacted us. Okay? Which I believe it's starting to happen. So, afterwards, okay, in 2001, the MIT Auto ID Center presented their vision too. So, little by little, okay, year by year since then, naanay murag mga vision, okay? Naanay mga gina-envision ng mga company nga unsay mahitabo when we have this Internet of Things. Okay? So, later, IoT was formally introduced by the International Telecommunication Union, okay? This is like a body which standardizes things, okay? So kani ilang standardize kibali ang IoT nga term, okay, or the existence of IoT in their report or in their internet report in 2005. Okay? So murag na establish na dayon ang word nga naay IoT, or there's a term or there's a word called Internet of Things. So at present, IoT is gaining momentum, especially in the modern wireless telecommunications. Okay? So karon na natay mga wireless nga means of communication. Okay? Sa una, ang pinakaunang attempt siguro nga commercially available is kaning mga infrared. Inagani tay mga IR blasters. Okay? Kanang sa mga remote. So we could dili lang siya limited sa pag on or off sa TV. In that aspect, na natay data nga ginasend ana. Okay? So sa una, I remembered early smartphones nga ilahang high-end nga feature is na sila IR, okay, in which they could transfer files, okay. So you may have then be familiar with Bluetooth, okay, blue na pod. So infrared and Bluetooth, okay. Bluetooth is of course much faster and more reliable nga wireless technology in transferring data. So slowly we evolve na natay wireless, na natay Wi-Fi, okay? Even our cellular communication, okay? Sa una natay GSM, okay? Then we slowly have internet access through kaning edge na to, okay? Kanang murag nga marka diha. Sa una paspas kay na, but karon hinay na. So, since the need of data, the amount of data that we would like to access is gadako pod. So, sa sunod sa edge na napod tay, edge is considered 2G, I think. Okay? So, naapod tay 3G na pod ayon. Okay? I think napagani GPRS. Okay? So, edge, GPRS, dayon na natay 3G, then we have 4G, then natay LTE, naapod tay 5G karon. Okay, happy murag it's slowly being rolled out, okay? So across those implementation gakapaspas, okay? Gakapaspas ang ato ang connection in a way that large amount of data could be sent at a small amount of time, okay? And it's becoming more reliable. Reliability here refers to the distance that it could cover without losing the quality of the connection. So mo na siya. So going back, okay, since this technology is now prevalent, okay, and also to an extent, as I've said earlier, inexpensive, okay, so naanay mga means nga ma-achieve ni ato ang ginatawag nga IoT. So there's an increasing presence of smart object or things, okay, this could be smartphone, smartwatches, okay, nanaputay ginatawag nga smart home automation systems, which includes as mga appliances, okay, which are able to communicate with each other to achieve certain goals. So let's say I think you're familiar with kaning mga smart appliances, let's say smart bulb, okay, kaning mga they could somehow be connected to a Wi-Fi nga makontrol nimo through your phone. Manang pinaka-common nga IoT implementation or pinaka-basic, okay? You could communicate to a certain appliance using your phone. Now, IoT is already starting to impact on business and personal lives, okay? So you yourself personally is experiencing this, okay? So for companies, they are employing IoT to create new business models, improve business processes, and reduce cost and the risk. Later on, we'll get to discuss some of these examples. So for the personal lives, it is improving with advanced health monitoring. So outside the convenience aspect, on a personal scale, okay, we are also concerned, more importantly, with our health. Okay? So na siya. IoT is being implemented in our health. So advanced health monitoring. So it also has an enhanced learning and improve security, just to name a few. So enhanced learning, let's say, para saan okay? We are let's say in an online environment, so we could easily communicate online, okay? So ato karon is kuan pa man more on reliant pata sa video chat, but in some implementation, okay, nanay mga let's say we could actually monitor kanang mga writings, okay, kanang gipang sulat nato. Okay, so pwede ma-monitor, ma-track kung sa nga mga words or any other implementation which aids in learning. Okay, and of course, improve security. Okay, there's an avenue for that nga, let's say, monitor nato ato ang balay nga naatay IP camera or natay security camera. Not only that we could monitor that within the vicinity in our local network sa Wi-Fi kibali sa balay, but bisag mo adto mo sa laing lugar, as long as your camera is connected to an internet, then you're also connected to an internet, so you get to communicate or monitor that camera you have at your home. So ana mga na to ang murag present nga implementation, common present implementation. So naapay ang sa pa kana mga smart door locks. So naay mga ana, Okay? So what is the Internet of Things? Okay? We get to a simple definition. Later, we get to a more complete definition. So in its simple form, IoT may be considered as a network of physical elements. Okay? So empowered by these four components. First is a sensor to collect information. Of course, how could you sense what is happening without a means of doing so? So we have aptly called sensors. Identifiers, these are to identify the source of data. Okay? Mura ni siya og if naay gina-sense ang sensor sa iyang palibot, okay, nga data, aha na gikan nga data. Okay? So mao na ang mga identifiers. Now, as you could see there, it could also be other sensors. So pwede nga across different sensors mag-communicate sila. So that's possible. Next is software. Of course, it's very basic IT nga in every hardware that we have, okay, in our computer, di ba, we have what we call drivers. So ana pod, since kani ato ang mga butang, they are essentially quote unquote unintelligent, we want to quote unquote put intelligence into them. Okay? So one way of doing so is somehow incorporating software. Nga naman, since once we have data, we want to process that. Okay? We want to be it in a format or in a content that is helpful to us or it's meaningful. Okay? So mo na siya. Then we have the internet connectivity. Okay? So mao gyud ning naka-differentiate when we talk about Internet of Things. Kay napo tay ginatawag nga M2M or machine to machine nga communication, in which it is only concerned about of the first three nga components. Okay? But once you get to communicate that across the internet, so mao na dayon na ang ginatawag nato nga Internet of Things. Okay? In which we could then be able to communicate and notify. Okay? Ang word here is communicate remotely. Okay? Communicate and notify remotely. So when we say remotely, we are physically outside the bounds of that things that we are monitoring, or if you want to get notification from. So with that, we could have a basic definition of the Internet of Things as the network of things with clear element identification, embedded with software intelligence, sensors, and a ubiquitous connectivity to the internet. Okay? So ubiquitous, okay, mura siya og how do I say this? It's we could say it's seamless, okay? Seamless connectivity to the internet. More siya omnipresent, okay? Omniscience or so ba? The word omniscient is even confusing but kana lang, okay? Ubiquitous. So IoT enables things or object to exchange information with the manufacturer, operator, or other connected devices utilizing the telecommunication infrastructure of the internet. So this is how, okay, in our this is the most prevalent implementation is we get to have the help of telecommunication. Okay? So sa mga telecommunication nga means of accessing the internet, kanang itong ginatawag nga natay data, mobile data, that is one. Okay? So sa una naatay WiMAX, but I think WiMAX is not here in our country, dili na kayo ginagamit. So natay mga broadband na dayon. Okay? So these are like large scale wireless communication. So it allows physical object to be sensed and controlled remotely across the internet na dayon. So creating opportunities for more direct integration between the physical world and computer-based system. So what are the business and technical implications of this? Okay? So Gartner says 20 billion devices will be used in 2020. Okay? So imagine 20 billion devices nga nakadaghan ang that will be actively used in IoT. So Cisco, so these are companies. So Cisco estimates 26.3 billion devices, so machine-to-machine devices, itong giingon kanina nga scenario, phones, TVs, PCs, tablets, and other connected device for the same period. So any object with a simple microcontroller, okay, remember atong sa course orientation na to, what a microcontroller is. Okay, I really haven't discussed that fully, but microcontroller, it's just a small scale computer. Okay, so with a simple computer with modes on and off switch or a QR code will be connected to the internet in the near future. So mauna ang murag target na in the future nga minimal lang ang, let's say, additional nga component to make it connected to the internet. Okay, mauna ang pinaka-ideal. Kay karon murag medyo naagi distinct nga layer nga atong makita nga, okay, let's say we have our cell phone. Let's say we want to communicate with a light bulb. Okay, if we want to add internet connectivity and somehow intelligence, quote unquote, for that, so natay ibutang nga microcontroller yun nga aspect, or natay ibutang nga mga hardware in which it's very evident nga nabutang ginato. So later on, companies will eventually develop this product nga built-in na and as small as minimal as possible. Okay? Kailangan man po na nga natay smart bulb kibali nga typically a small light bulb, a traditional light bulb murag pila ra dimension na mura na siya usa ka baso kadako. So if dungagan pa ninyo na karon og kanang mga microcontroller kay mga circuitry, na siya i-introduce nga bulk, mas dako na dayon siya, and it comes into an inconvenience na dayon. So later on, gakagamay ang components that would be added to this traditional things para maka-communicate siya sa internet. So the main idea is to physically connect anything or everything and process over internet for control and monitoring. Okay, so the main objective is to gather intelligence from such object to enrich products and services. Okay, why the effort, you may ask. Okay, for convenience. Mao gyud na, we as a human being, okay, we always strive for convenience. Okay, gikan pa gyud sa una nga supposedly mga caveman sa una, mga prehistoric nga human race sa una, galisod sila og kaon. Okay, di sila ganahan silang pagkaon, so they strive to achieve a convenient way of consuming meat by cooking na dayon. Okay, so murag with the use of tools, okay, we achieve such convenience such convenience nga atong gina-transform ang mga materials around us. So mao ra gyapon na, in essence, mao na gakahitabo karon. We would like to improve something for our convenience and of course for the benefit of us. Okay, for enrichment of products and services. Okay, kinsa may ganahan og mas lisod kung naay mas sayon, di ba? Mao man na ato kita nga tao nga na man ato ang mentality jud. So here is a more complete IoT definition. Okay, what do we really mean by things? Okay, previously, we are referring to things nga unsay palibot sa to, in which it is actually the case. Okay, so things could be anything, could be everything. Karon dili pa ingon nga everything ang ato ang mabutang sa IoT. Napay mga uban nga mga butang nga lisod na to i-integrate. Okay, or if pwede man lang, it's commercially unviable. Okay, so kanat, so far napay mga something pa kibali or something pa atong ma-achieve. Okay, somethings pa nga mabutang sa IoT. So later on, we would like to have it to be anything and everything. So this could be appliances, building, cars, people. Okay, so kani sila appliances, building, cars, to an extent people, pwede na to mabutang sa internet. Okay, but in ourselves, murag dili gyud kinahanglan nato og gadget or electronics. Okay, so kani appliances, buildings, cars, for now plausible siya, okay? But kani people, animals, trees, plants, kani uh, mga butanga, okay, murag dili pa ingon readily pwede i-connect ura-urada nganuman, okay? Of course there's an aspect of practicality, okay, feasibility, and more importantly napoy ethics sana nga involved, okay? So we will not really be dealing with that ethical side of IoT in this course, but just so you know, naagyod dapat, okay? We always be concerned with the human aspect of everything. So, a more complete definition should also include standards daw. Standards and processes allowing things to be connected over the internet to exchange data using industry standards that guarantee interoperability and enabling useful and mostly automated processes. So if you get to observe, kani ato ang first nga diagram here, ang IoT is just an intersection of internet, things, and data. Mo na sa simple na nga definition. Here, in addition to those three, okay, there should also be processes and standards. Okay? Now, what is the importance of standards? Why do we instill standards? Okay? The importance of standards is para magka-sinabtanay ang tanan. Okay? Magkadimaw ang tanan. You have heard of the word standards, let's say, in computing, natin ginatawag nga USB standard. Okay? Or napod tayo ginaingon nga ASCII code standard. Okay? When we say something is following the standard, there is a body there na ay murag a governing body which state that you could only use that technology if you follow this set of protocols, this set of processes which constitutes the standard. Okay? So it makes sense. Nga naman, para kanang gusto mo appeal nga, let's say, company, if they want to introduce their product in the Internet of Things, dapat kabalo siya unsaon pag sulod diha nga masabtan po siya sa uban. Okay? Standard is like a language that you need to learn so that everything could be understood. Okay? So mo ng standard. Now, some companies even have their own concept of IoT, or in this case IoE. Okay? Internet of Everything. Okay? Nga naman, unsay imong main distinction nila ani. Okay? Sa IoT, more on things ni siya. Okay? Which doesn't include us, technically speaking. Okay? But here, appeal ta. Okay? Now, even though sa karon we are technically connected, mao gani ang gingon kanina, we are technically connected to the internet, but with the use of mga devices. Okay? So here, it's like we have a more intimate connection. Okay? We have more deepened connection sa system. So some companies such as Cisco refer to IoT as the IoE, or Internet of Everything, with the 4 key components. People. First is people, so connecting people in more relevant ways. Next is data, so converting data into intelligence to make better decisions. Okay. Then process, delivering the right information to the right person or machine at that should be or nga walay e. Okay? Or machine at the right time. Then things, so again, morning pinaka-common yun or pinaka-target, usa sa pinaka-target. Things are physical devices and objects connected to the internet and each other for intelligent decision making. Okay? So maoning murag approach sa Cisco. So they believe that today's internet is the internet of people. Okay, which makes sense kay ang atong internet karon, it's more targeted on how people are connected across the globe. Okay, so the services are centered for the people to communicate effectively as a community of human being. So they are mainly connecting applications that are used by people. Now, IoT is envisioned to connect things where things, not people, will be taking action. So this is another layer of convenience or another layer of automation nga gusto nila ma-achieve. Okay? Kay traditionally, okay, we get to decide what would be the decision that could benefit us. Okay? Mura na og unsay tawag kanin kung mag-drive ta, kibali kung mag-drive ta, okay, there are all technologies, all components of a car which enables it to drive, but there is always a human aspect nga asa dapit unsa padulong asa padulong unsa ka kusog, okay, unsa ka hinay sa mao na siya. So sa IoT, they are like trying to automate in a way nga minimal ang human intervention. That is why it's referred to here as where things will be taking the action, not people. Okay? So IoE is then combining the Internet of People and the Internet of Things. Okay, so mao ni ang usa sa vision aning Cisco. In a way that ang ilahang pagtanaw, ilang vision sa IoT is it's the Internet of People and it's the Internet of Things. Okay, kaya essentially if sa kalibutan yun pod, apil man pod ta, we could be considered as thing, okay, in our environment. So now we have a comprehensive definition. Okay, so IoT is the network of things with device identification, embedded intelligence, and sensing and acting capabilities connecting people and things over the internet. So in short, okay, it's essentially a connection of things intelligently together with the people across the internet. Okay, so morning comprehensive definition niya. So now, how do we monitor? Okay, how do we monitor and control things from anywhere in the world? So this we are now talking about the actual application. Okay, so the basic requirements for IoT are the unique identity per thing. Okay, for example, should they be an IP address? Okay, so which is very easy na sa mga computing devices or sa mga computing devices, let's say smartphone, tablets, computers, laptop, kay nana sila standard, nana sila gina-follow nga internet, kanang Ethernet or wireless standard. So nana na IP address. Okay? So ang main problem kibali na dayon or ang main dilemma is how could you integrate that? Okay? Not necessarily nga IP addressing gyud, but a similar standard in which it could be applicable across these things. Okay? But for now, using IP addresses is mo ng pinaka-common nga implementation. Okay? Not only that, but for convenience sake and practicality sake, it should how could we communicate across this thing? Okay? Most likely in a wireless manner. Okay? So wireless communication. So and the ability to sense specific information about the thing, so sensors. Okay? So murag kibali ang three basic requirements sa IoT is kaning identification sa usa ka butang. Okay? Means of communication across kaning mga butanga. Then also how to receive data nga gina-communicate across these things. Okay? Kaya pwede raman nga naay data gadagan-dagan gatabok-tabok diha sa inyong palibot, but you do not have a way of sensing this or accepting this data. Okay? So murara na og naay host diha, even though there's a medium there, but the data, if we do not know how to use that medium, okay, if walay tubig nga gaagi diha, then we would not get to receive or send such important data. So with these three requirements, one should be able to monitor things from anywhere in the world. Okay, so mao nang pinaka basic nga to nga himuon. So another foundation requirement is a medium to communicate typically handled by telecommunication network. Okay? So katong tulo previously, it's more like their local communication. Another layer to that is how are you going to remotely present that, okay, or remotely send that to another person or to another system, kibale. Okay? So we have here, so natay things, we have, let's say, unique addresses for them, we have the way of sensing and actuating. Okay? Actuating is, let's say, how do we react to these sensors. Then we are then concerned with our ability to communicate across the IoT network. Okay, how do we join kibale? Okay, it's a network, an IoT network. It's like a hub kibale na dayon, so that we get to access that remotely across different places around the world. Okay, via notification and control. So why do we want to monitor and control? Okay, so the reason might be obvious to you, but these are the many reasons, or these are one of the reasons why. So there are many reasons to monitor and control things remotely over the internet. Of course, first is monitoring and controlling things by expert. For example, a patient's temperature or blood pressure while the patient is at comfort of his or her own home. This is very murag nowadays we could really appreciate this kay, di ba? Nowadays ginalikayan nato mugawas. Okay? Mugawas even though nga importante atong lakaw, but possible man god nga let's say sa ba given the current situation karon, dili ta ganahan mugawas, okay, kay naay risk nga involved. So with this, okay, as long as we have connection, okay, we could get the help of experts, okay, to give us expert service, okay. So they could be done using kani mga IoT na dayon, okay. Kibali na anay mga sensors sa inyong na may mga tawag ani mga pacemakers sa inyong heart, or let's say you have wearables that monitor your health, okay, without even telling the doctor nga let's say lain yung pamati, na sila murag system na dayon nga mag-notify sa ila nga uy, nintaas imong blood pressure, uy, there's an anomaly with your body, okay. Kaya di man pod ingon sa tanan panahon nga naatay time mag-ingon explicitly sa ilaha. Okay, let's say simba ko na stroke or nag-atake sa puso, okay, ning collapse rag kalit, di ba, di naman na maingon. But with the attachments that are being worn by that patient, okay, or by that person, posible nga ma-send na dayon niya across the internet nga na health emergency nga kay tabo anak niya, then the doctor could take action for that nga pwede po dayon nga naay emergency nga signal nga ihatag sa health center. So nga na. So that is one of the health advantages of IoT. Another is learning about things by pointing a smartphone to a thing of interest, for instance, searching for things that search engines do not provide today. Okay? So where are my car keys? So mura ni kaning mga pangutana nga dili matubag sa search engine, okay? Nga let's say you could not really ask Google, let's say nawala ang inyong ang cellphone, na may find my iPhone or na may find my device, but let's say nawala ang inyong baso, okay? So if your cup is somehow connected to the IoT network, okay, pwede ninyo na mapangita kay naa may means of connection niya, okay, nga masense sa IoT nga asa na last na butang, okay, and even other things could help locate it in your home. Nga let's say ma-sense na nga naraday sa banyo or naraday sa gawas. So nga na. So we could do that in the future, hopefully. Okay? So karon na mabutay nga na. Okay? Natay nga na kanang not necessarily magamit og smartphone. Okay? But kanang I think I think there's an Apple device, bago lang ni siya gihimo, kanang AirTags, okay, Apple AirTags. So it could enable you to attach those things sa inyuhang attach those sensors sa inyuhang mga butang, mura siya ibitay, mura siya key holder. Then tama, okay? It uses your iPhone, okay? Pwede dai iPhone and smartphone to locate these things. Okay, so man, this is an example of that, okay? So kanang AirTags, okay, you could search on that unsa implementation na, but basically ang ginahimo ani is an AirTag is a smart device that you get to tag in your let's say keys, in your laptops, in your Bluetooth speakers, in a way nga if ma-misplace ninyo, okay, pwede ninyo i-refer sa inyong iPhone kung asa. Okay, mura na siya og na siya tracking device kibali dayon. Okay? So mao na. That is a scenario in which it could give you an idea kung asa. Okay? But pinaka-tsada gid nga implementation ani is bisag mangutana lang mo diretso. Okay? Since nangutana mo asa ako ang car keys, okay? It could be smart enough in the future nga iingon na diretso nga asa, dili kay maghunting pa mo sa ana nga butang. Okay? So I hope you get the idea there. Another is allowing authorities to manage things in smart cities in an optimal manner. Okay? So, let's say energy, driver licenses, and other documents. Okay? So, mao ning usapon sa gusto nato ma-monitor and control as peacekeeping force or governing bodies or government bodies. Okay? So, natay gitawag nga smart cities. Okay? Smart cities, mura ni siya og in a blown up scale atong tagging akong ginaingon, in which naanay monitoring sa mga buildings, sa mga facilities, sa dalan, sa mga amusement park, okay, sa mga recreational areas, ingana. Okay? Para ma-monitor ang mga butang nga ginahandle ana nila. Okay? Or even kanang mga kuan, not only that they are specific sa things, but also kanang mga you as a citizen. Okay? Naamo mo yung mga documents, let's say mga driver's licenses, mga IDs. So pwede na po dayon nga ma-monitor. Okay? In a way nga not to really to invade your privacy, but to help you to help them manage their citizen. Kaya ang target man po ng mga government, one of their objective is para ang well-being and ang security. Kaya pwede man po nga i-monitor mo for security. So naingana. Even though na again na mga ethical and privacy issues ani, but naman po yung kanang murag benefits ngano ginahimo na siya. Okay? So another is providing more affordable entertainment and games for children and adults. This is more on the leisure side. Okay, di man pud ta mag-ingon nga kanang sa even sa internet, di ba, dili man tanan sa internet trabaho tanan. Dili man tanan kay quote unquote seryoso ra. Okay? We could still have fun, okay, sa internet through games. So sa IoT pod na po na siya nga aspect. Okay? So kana. Now, all of these are examples of huge business and service opportunities to boost the economic impact for consumers, business, government, hospitals, and many other entities. Okay? So again, ang main goal gid ani why we strive for IoT is kaning ato ang betterment sa ato ang livelihood or sa atong lives in general. Mo na. So, who will monitor and control? Okay? So, generally speaking, it may be done by anyone who is concerned. So, it could be a homeowner monitoring his own home on a mobile device. So, pwede po nga mag-control siya sa iyang appliances. Okay? Or, it could be a service provider to monitor and control services for its customers in a network operation center. So, pwede na siya. Let's say, mga service providers nga, let's say, kaning let me cite an example. Kanang mga Uber, okay? Kanang mga padala, okay? Mga services in which they deliver. So, okay man pod nga ma-monitor nila kung unsay gakahitabo, if na-deliver ba na, okay? Or na-deliver ba na siya in the allowed amount of time? Ang condition ba sa delivery? Sakto? So, nga na. So obviously, okay, security is a major concern to prevent access by non-authorized people and more importantly, prevent malicious hacker from gaining access to the system. Okay? So since natay mga information nga gagawas gikan sa ato ang ginapadala sa uban, and sometimes this information is important, it could be financial, it could be privacy related, it could be personal. So naagid ang aspect nga security. Okay, security and privacy issue. So the areas of control are far more critical for enterprise-sensitive applications such as healthcare monitoring of patients and banking applications. So, ang impact sa kung kinsa mag-monitor o control o kung saan niya na paghimo is greater in this field. Kaning healthcare and banking and any important sector in our lives. Okay? So, mana siya. So, continuing on the vulnerabilities of IoT. Okay? Stating kanina nga, unsa to? Natay data nga gawa sa tua in which it could be personal, it could be confidential, okay? And it could be a concern of security nga na, okay? So IoT areas vulnerabilities. First is accessing data during transport, okay? So wala pa niabot ang data kibali naa pa sa dalan, okay, if gina-deliver pa. So data will be transported in IoT networks at all time. Now this data may be sniffed by the man in the middle unless transport protocols are fully secured and encrypted. So mura ra ni siya og man in the middle, okay? Let's say you want mura ni na eavesdropper kibali or unwanted person nga dili nimo gusto makadungog ana nga sa tawag ani nga conversation, okay? So mura nga na kibali na let's say ikaw gusto nimo storyahon ang imuhang amiga, okay? Then kanang man in the middle, it could be a person nga interested pud ana inyong topic, okay? Now normally, let's say if it's confidential among sa imuhang amiga, you do not want others to know that, okay? But kaning man in the middle, pwede niya na makuha, okay? Depende na dayon na sa iya if unsaon niya, okay? Unsaon niya na paggamit nga data. It doesn't mean nga ang data dili mo abot, okay? Posible nga mo abot ra gihapon, but instead of only one destination ang inyong gusto mahitabo, duha na dayon nga wa mo kabalo na ikaduha, okay? Sa mao nang man in the middle nga attack, okay? So depende na dayon na sa attacker kung unsay himuon, okay? So as you may know, it depends on the data. What if, let's say katong ingon kay chika-chika raman to, let's say what if that data pertains to banking, okay, banking transaction, okay? So that would be a concern. Now unless it's fully secure and encrypted, we could mitigate that, okay? So let's say na mo ay pamaagi nga pamaagi ang pag-transport nga dili basta-basta sniff, dili basta-basta ma-eavesdrop, okay, sa uban. Ana. So basically mao nang man in the middle. Another is unauthorized control. So having control of IoT devices, okay, allows unauthorized persons to take full control of entire networks, okay? So naay possibility, okay? It could allow unauthorized access to those. So examples include shutting down cameras at home and shutting down patient monitoring system. Mao nang mga pinakadelikado nga scenario or unwanted nga scenario, okay? Instead of you having only having the sole control of your house, so let's say na-hack, okay, na-hack inyong credentials, okay, or kanang na pwede po din na man in the middle, okay, nga nakuha niya ang access or ang control sa inyong balay. So it could be very dangerous na dayon nga naman kay posible nga iyahan na ng pangpalungon or yang ipang-pause ang camera nga dili makita kung naay nagsulod, okay? So since kamo nga nagsalig mo nga makita daw ninyo ang inyong balay with the camera, di wa mo kabantay nga nahitabo na siya, so you are unaware of what's happening nga nalalay pagpangawat nga nahitabo or unsa ba, okay? Or other more malicious nga attempt para sa ning shutting down patient monitoring system, okay? Deliberate nga siguro pagpatay or pag-deteriorate sa health anang patient. So in relation to that, naputay access. Having access, now katong kanina is the means of controlling, kani the access of data itself, okay? So easily accessible data, kaning unencrypted, stored data, and shared storage in the cloud is another problem. In addition, many companies are adding Bluetooth support to their devices, making it feasible for unauthorized access via spoofing, okay? So naay murag kani mga wireless nga mga technology manggod, okay? Sa ngalan ani nga wireless siya nga murag gina-broadcast niya iyahang signal, and one way of explicitly sending that only to another person is naay murag mga layers of security ana naay uban nga ma-access gihapon, okay? Murag ma-bypass nila ang security. mao na nga nana dayon sila means of sa ba ma-intercept nila ang signal. Okay, then again na sila option na dayon sila himuon ana sa data nga ilahang makuha eventually. Okay, so next is identity theft. So stealing of official users or network identity. So many website provide default password for vendors. So naday mo ni, okay? Common nga scenario is let's say kana mga bag-ong router, okay? Or bag-ong nga mga devices in which it allows storing of credential. Now it is highly encouraged for security sake nga i-update niyo na or ilahion niyo na ang credential. Ngano man. Kay may uban mga marunong pod nga mga kawatan nga na sila inventory or na sila database anang default nga credential. Nga if wala ninyo na gibag-o and you're connected to the internet, pwede nga ilahan ang ma-access and magamit nila, then ilaha yung lahion nga kamo sila na hinuoy gagamit ana nga account. Okay? So nga na. So what is the IoT Reference Framework? Now this is the suggested way of developing IoT solution, okay? Or how are you going to implement IoT? So first is the IoT device levels. This includes all IoT sensors and actuators. Next is IoT network level. This include all IoT network components including IoT gateways, routers, switches, nga. Okay, so ang networking ani mga butang. Next is the application. Okay, so IoT Application Service Platform level. This dili pa din yung application mismo. It's like a bridge in between the things and the application itself. So Application Service Platform level, they include key management software function to enable the overall management of IoT devices and network. It also includes main functions connecting the device and network levels with the application layer. So atong giyon kanina, okay? In between network level, napay IoT Application Service Platform level, ultimately to be connected to the fourth aspect, which is the IoT application level. This includes all application operating in the IoT network. So here is a diagram. So naatay mga devices. These are the actual devices that are connected. So ang IoT network, this is the means for them to be connected. Okay? In a network, in an IoT network. So natin nga tawag nga IoT gateway. Okay? So how to manage this platform? How to murag hardware, kuan man sila, hardware connection. So in order for this to drive, in order for this to function effectively, there should be a software. Let's say natay gitawag nga network software ani. So mao ni IoT management service platform na dayon. Okay? In which in order for the person to monitor and to be notified with the data and the processes that is happening in the network, muna dayon nga naa na pud tay IoT applications in which it serves as an interface so that we get to know what data is being how data is being processed aning entire nga system na dayon. Okay, so again natay mga IoT devices which are the things, okay, and this IoT network, this is how you physically connect these things. And since this is physical and you want to perform computing for that, there should be a software layer for this. So maoning IoT management service platform. Then you as a person, a person that is only interested kung unsa inyong gusto makita ana nga network, so naa po yung mga specific na dayon nga IoT application that is only that only allows you to see kung unsa inyong gusto makita. Okay? So nga na. So that is the IoT reference framework. So the advantage of the proposed IoT 4-level model is reduced complexity. So it breaks IoT elements and communication process into smaller and simpler components, thereby helping the IoT component development, design, and troubleshooting. Okay. So next is standardize. I think you already know the importance of standardizing things. So mao ni siya. This is also napo na siya dire, of course. Standardized components and interfaces. So the model standardizes the specific components within each level as well as the interfaces between the various levels. This will allow different vendors to develop joint solution and common support models. Okay? Again, para makahimo silang solution nga even though it could solve different problems, but ang importante is it follows a certain standard. Okay? So in relation to that, module engineering, it allows various types of IoT hardware and software systems to communicate with each others. Okay? Modularity. Okay? Bot pasabutan na is daghan nga components ang pwede mabutang. So ang interoperability, this is the interoperability between vendors by ensuring the various technology building blocks can interwork and interoperate. So very similar to the concept of standards. Okay? So kana mao po na ang iyahang advantage. It is easily interoperable. So accelerate innovation. So actually kani sila nga mga advantages related rin sila sa uban nila nga advantage. Okay? So it's just like a consequence. So a consequence of standardized component is modular, pwede nga modular nga approach, then okay, pwede po dayon nga interoperable siya tungod atong previous nga advantage mo nang buot pasabot ana. So accelerate innovation. It allows developers to focus on solving the main problem at hand without worrying about basic function that can be implemented once across different business vertical. Okay? Ang pasabot ani is naa siya level of abstraction nga dili na ta concern anang low level nga aspect nga sulbaron pa nato na ang buot pasabot ani is we get to solve the immediate problem at hand. Okay? So nga na. Then, of course, being it of reduced complexity, it goes without saying mas simplified ang pagtuon na dayon ana. Okay? So simplified education. It breaks down the overall complex IoT solution into smaller, more manageable components to making learning easier. So why now? Okay? The 12 factors for a perfect storm, or kibali the 12 IoT driving factors. Okay? Ngano man jud nga atuwa ning gusto may tabo. So I have already been saying unsa importance ani across the entire video. But kani, these are considered as the 12 factors. So IoT has already become a powerful force for business transformation and its disruptive impact. Mo ning ginaingon ngano storm. Kaya di ba unsay nasa bagyo, it disrupts. Okay, murag ihang ginagubot. But this is in a good way. So the disruptive impact it already felt across all industries and all areas of society. So we call this as the perfect storm, kibale, of market disruption happening at an unprecedented pace triggered by technology as well as new business and social requirements. Sibot pasabot ani, okay? Mauni nga murag kahitabo karon nga it is a storm but in a good way in which it forces new businesses to innovate, to evolve. Okay? So it becomes it is an unprecedented space. Okay? Unsay butan ng unprecedented? Murag karon pa rin nahitabo. Okay? Of course, karon pa rin nahitabo ang Internet of Things, okay? Kamulo pa gani nga kahitabo. Okay? In which for the better, it triggers this new business and social requirements to be met for, again, the convenience. Okay? Most of these are beneficial man pod. Okay? So first is the convergence of IT and OT. Okay? Ano sabi ng OT? OT stands for Operation Technology. So mauni ang gakahitabo sa industries, sa traditional industry. So OT is the world of industrial plants and industrial control and automation equipment that includes machines and systems to run the business, controllers, sensors, and actuators. Okay? Sabot pasabot ani. Sa industrial level pa lang, nanay mga automation nga kitabo, nanay sensing nga kitabo. I think I have stated this earlier. Okay? But the thing here is, it's not implemented with IT. Okay? There's no IT, there's no heavy integration with IT. Now, IT originally mura ni siya og kanang the original definition of the word OT and IT. IT, information technology, is the world of end-to-end information system focusing on compute, data storage and networking to support business operations such as BPO or business process automation system, customer relation management system, supply chain management system, logistics system and human resources system. Unsa may ilahang main ani nga purpose? Ang main na purpose aning sa IT is a form of communication. Okay? End-to-end information system. Okay? They're only concerned on how they are going to relay information across different person in a system. Okay? So, IT departments were originally created to create efficient and effective forms of telephony communication. Okay, as what I've said, it's more of the data communication. Then they were extended to provide internal communication and secure external electronic communication. So communication sa gyud ang murag main function aning IT. Whereas IT relies on real-time data that drives safety, security, and control. Okay? So many plants both pasabutan is mga planta, okay, needs to run 24/7 with zero downtime, and thus industrial processes cannot tolerate shutdown for software updates. So sa mga server kibali sa let's say sa website, pwede ra na mag-down. It's not really kanang mga dili lang pod ingon nga industry related yung mga server, kanang mga typical mga web servers, okay? Kanang Facebook, YouTube, actually pwede ra sila mag-down without global impact nga madaot yun ang economy. Okay? Pwede ra. Or let's say sa inyong IT nga company nag-down ang inyong server for maintenance. So pwede ra na. Pwede ra mo mga usa ka oras, usa ka adlaw mag-down, wala na problema. But in the world of OT, okay, dili na pwede, especially if it's kanang mga importante, let's say water system, okay, electricity, nga dili na allowable. Okay, even though mahitabo, but as much as possible dapat dili na ingon mag-prevalent kanang mga downtimes. Okay, so we could say that IT is more lenient with software updates, introduction of new technologies, and so on. Okay, common man po ang reason nga no mag-down is dili lang kay nadaot, let's say ang sa usa ka ang website, but let's say na sila gina-integrate nga bag-o nga functionality sa website, so they are forced to take that down para i-introduce na nga functionality. Now, as you may have know by now, okay, if you have noticed, slowly IT and OT medyo ga-overlap na ilang operation. Okay? So, IT and OT functions are expected to merge or quickly risk the loss of the business to cutting-edge competitors. Okay? So IoT operation leaders must move closer to the business and adapt their employees' skill sets, their processes, and their tools to monitor IoT availability and performance in order to support business initiatives. Okay? So the thing here is, okay, there is a level of IT na. Nga naman, nanatay pwede na ito ma-introduce ang, di ba? Internet really is an IT thing. Okay, it's an IT phenomenon. Okay? Kay di ba unsa man gyud pinaka main purpose sa internet? It's a means of communication. Okay, communication na siya. So sa tong OT, we would like nga pwede na ma-integrate ang internet sa to ang OT in we could say nga ang IT ato nang gi-integrate kay to further gain control. Okay, more control and monitoring para sa aning operation. Okay? Dili kay kanang limited na lang sa vicinity ang ato ang monitoring. Okay? So naanay murag capabilities nga we could remotely monitor that. Okay? So mao nang murag merging, convergence of IT and OT. So next is the second is the astonishing introduction of creative internet-based businesses. Okay? So kani kita gid ninyo ni karon. Uber, first is Uber. Uber is an internet-based platform connecting customers, the passengers, with the service providers or car drivers. Now, Uber uses sensor technologies in drivers' smartphone to track their behaviors. The idea is to gradually improve safety and customer satisfaction. So today, Uber is one of the leading transportation services in the world with a market value of over $20 billion. Okay? I think you're familiar with Uber. Uber, common ni siya sa mga mega cities in which ang dili tanan kay naay car, na dili tanan pod willing magpalit og sakyanan kay walay parking space, wala sila garage, kay halos sa mga residents sa syudad, they live in an apartment or they live in condominiums or mga places nga wala bitaw ingon feasible nga parking areas. That's why napay uban nga even though can afford sila, but di sila mopalit. So one alternative aside from taxis is kaning Uber. Okay? Now, on top of similar sila functionality, di ba? Murag garent ta og driving services, magpahatod ta. But kaning Uber, nani sila kanang murag monitoring. Okay? They are not only monitoring the drivers themselves, nga kung online ba sila or kamulo sila on service, but the actual quality of the service itself. Okay, so naay nga na para pod nga ma-monitor nila nga if sakto ba na ilang implementation or if they hired the correct driver or they accepted the correct driver for that area. So naay mga nga na. A very similar approach is Airbnb. Okay? So katong kanina is mga sakyanan, okay? Airbnb, this is for lodging. Okay? So, Airbnb is an internet-based service for people to list, find, and rent lodging. Okay? So, mura nakibali og it's like an online shop for mga boarding house, mga apartment, mga lodging house, nga na. Okay? So, Airbnb found a multi-billion-dollar business based on internet platform connecting people and places together that competently disrupted the traditional hotel business model. Okay? Ang pinaka na-impact yun ani, siguro negative silang part, kay nakuhaan sila o kanaghalin, kibali. Okay? Kaning mga hotel, di ba? These linear businesses kaning mga hotel, okay, nga typical lang nga hotel nga maghuwat lag tawag ug maghulat lag na imo anha para magpuyo, okay? This linear business have to invest millions into building new hotels while Airbnb doesn't have to deal with it. Okay? Unsa man ini mga ga-serve, kinsa man ning gahatag og service sa Airbnb. Mao ni sila nga murag mga homeowners bitaw nga naa sila'y mga bakante nga balay. Okay? You might be wondering ano wala kay ni diri sa tuwa, okay? This is actually very popular sa mga first world country in which kanang naisig travel. Okay, sige travel, daghan siyang balay ana nga lugar, but of course you only exist as one instance of yourself. Okay? Dili nimo na mapuy-an tanan. Okay, let's say inyong pamilya dili gid ingon nga mapuy-an tanan. Okay, naragi usa ka balay nga mapuy-an sa pamilya at a given point of time. So pwede nga since naaman nay bakante nga balay nga wala ginagamit, you could get income from that by availing or with partnership sa Airbnb. Okay, so mao na. So that's that. Next is Square. So continuing with number 2, the second factor. Square is an internet-based software solution that allows customers and small business owners to enter credit card information manually or swipe the card via the Square reader. So Square has introduced an application that integrates its reader with a smartphone motion sensor. Okay? If this sounds familiar, this technology is very much similar with kaning GCash. Okay? Diba? GCash, pwede na ta kang QR code, if gusto ta magbayad, okay? QR code lang. Okay? So, instead of using your cards, your credit card or debit card, okay, na nadiha inyo ang mga banking data, inyong mga finances, you could actually put some of that, okay, or depende sa inyo kung tanan ba, in this platform, similar to Square. So, in our case, kaning GCash, that we could say that is a related product. So kana. Next is Amazon. Okay? So kani. familiar gyud kay mo ani. Amazon is considered as the largest internet retailer company, which also offers business the capability to sell online. It also offers cloud-based services, okay, known as Amazon Web Services with software as a service. So kani mga service as a services nila murag mao ni ilahang later nga mga venture. Originally they were known for their as an internet retailer, but they now provide cloud-based services. So kani mga makita ninyo nga software as a service, platform as a service, services, infrastructure as a services, ana. So Amazon is one of the first to develop a business model based on internet platform connecting customers to products, okay, thereby disrupting traditional retail model. So kaning online shopping, sila ang nagpasimuno ani, sila ang nagpasikat ani. So now in our country we have many online shopping nga mga retailers, okay, online shopping nga platform. Not necessarily nga sila ang gabaligya, but they serve as a platform for other sellers to sell online. Okay? Kanang Lazada, Shopee, sa una natay sulit. Wala na maski sulit.com, sulit.com.ph, wala na margipulahan na nag-OLX. And even Facebook. Okay? Facebook is also venturing aning online retail. But kaning Amazon, kaning Lazada, kaning Shopee, they are more like more dedicated sa service nga retailers. Okay? So kana. So they disrupted the traditional retailing nga business. Okay? Kay convenient, diba? We could say that it's convenient. Okay? Not only it's convenient, but it could be practical. Okay? Let's say you want to purchase gusto mo magpalit ana nga butang, gusto mo palit og cellphone, ana nga model gyud, ganahan gyud kay mo ana nga model. But di ninyo na makita sa duol. Okay? Posible na ana siya sa next nga city. Okay? So, even though you have that option nga makaadto mo ana, it's not an assurance nga naa gyud na diha. Okay? It's not an assurance that naa na diha. And also, nakagasto na po pretty. Okay? Na in contrast sa online shopping, okay, depende po kung unsa kalayo, but typically, sa online shopping, you are assured nga naana siya kay naama na siyang offering, and sometimes, okay, the cost of delivery is much lesser than the actual cost of traveling. Okay? And also, mas convenient gani. Okay? Kaya nara mo gahuwat-huwat lang. Ang main lang yun nga advantage aning muadto mo ana nga store is ang immediate gratification and confirmation nga naana nga butang, kung naadyo na nga butang, so nakita ninyo, masulayan ninyo, matest ninyo dayon. Ang kanilang sa online is delayed gratification. Okay? So maayo if nadawat ninyo in good condition, but what if naidaot? So kung if inyohan ang maadtuan sa retailer mismo, okay, diretso ra ang puli. Okay? Nga ay defect din na sir, ako ra napulihan. But sa online shopping, it's sometimes hassle. So mo nang disadvantage pod sa online. Okay? So that is one reason nga ngano tanan dili pod gustog online. Okay? As much as possible, if mapalit na sa duol, palitan ninyo sa duol. Okay? But if dili, so there's now a convenience of online shopping. Okay? So, kana. Another is, okay, Tesla. So, Tesla is an electric car company. Okay? Kaning electric car industry, bago-bago pa ni siya. It's still adapting, even though point karon nga sa Philippines, wala pa kayo electrical car company. Okay? Electric cars differ from the traditional fuel-based nga mga automotives kay by the name suggests they are reliant on electricity. So mura na sila kibali og di baterya na tanan. Okay? So ang pagpaandar sa makina is all electrically charge. Okay, so gina-charge na sila kay bali mura sila mga dagko nga mga dulaan nga tarak-tarak, but of course they are fully functional vehicles. So an electric car an electric car company that did not only bend the traditional industry manufacturing model to internet-based model with thousands of sensors, but also demonstrated the tremendous value of IoT with the 2014 recalls. Okay, so Tesla as a company, okay, in their operations itself, okay, daghan na kay na sila ginagamit ng sensor, okay, daghan na kay na sila automation ginahimo. But the thing to note here is ang panahon nga naay daot ang ilang model. Okay, naay murag model sa ilang car nga naay daot, and if naay daot gani ana nga model, okay, it would be mandatory, okay, if ethical na siya nga company, okay, it would be mandatory nga saman mag-issue sila recall. Buot pasabutan ng recall is ilang either ipang pull out tong mga defective nga mga models, or i-pull out nila tanan, or in this case they didn't necessarily pull those models out, but they issued an over-the-air update. Okay, so Tesla's fix was conducted for 29,222 cars as an over-the-air software update without requiring owners to bring their cars to the dealer. Okay, so you get to see there the impact of IoT, which helped Tesla, okay, mitigate such it's technically a huge problem for them unta. Ano man, mugasto pa sila sa logistics, okay, mugasto sila sa logistics nga ilahang i-recall ang sakyanan, okay, and mawad-an sila og in that entire line of product, mawad-an sila og halin, okay, and of course ang impact sa ilahang image, okay. So kani they somehow mitigated most of the bad reputation by issuing this so-called over-the-air software update. Mura kibalig ipang update ra, mura bitag sa inyong mga cellphone nga let's say na bug inyong iPhone or inyong Android phone nga prevalent gid sa tanan nga user. So di ba it's not a case nga ipang balik ang cellphone, okay, more likely than not there will be updates for that. So kana next is self-driving cars. Okay, self-driving cars in general are equipped with large number of sensors, so this includes laser range finders, radars, video cameras, and actuators that collected data and processed with the positional information via GPS. Okay, so and the navigation system to build a three-dimensional model for its surrounding. The resulting model is then processed by the control system to make navigation decisions. So ibot pasabot ani, okay, by the name suggests, okay, it enables the car to drive by themselves. Okay, how did they do this? Is with the use of various sensors. These sensors would then receive data, they would process their data, then create a three-dimensional map for the navigational system to decide which way to go. Okay, so if you'll notice, okay, if it's still not obvious yet, okay, with minimal human intervention. Okay, but karon it's not Tesla is actually one of the pioneers of self-driving cars pod actually. Okay, na sila self-driving mode, but they discourage to rely 100% for that on the full operation sa ato ang sakyanan. Okay, they are usually implemented sa scenario nga let's say stop and go nga traffic. Kay medyo di man na ingon nga delikado nga scenario nga high speed nga accident. Okay, so makaya ra. And also kanang ang momentarily nga buy-an nimo ang manubila kay nakay kwaon, so kana makatabang na ang self-driving nga mechanism ana. It doesn't necessarily mean nga naa na nga feature gamiton lang na 100% kay there are instances nga mag-fail. It's the technology is still not perfect. It's still not perfect. Okay? So mga na. Third is mobile device explosion. Okay, dili na yung mangbuto ang mga mobile device. It's just the explosion of the number the number of mobile devices being connected in the internet every day. So there are 300,000 mobile applications in the past 3 years, resulting to close to 11 billion downloads. This refers to the app downloads. Okay? Daghan kayo, binilyon. Okay? So mobile data traffic is expected to grow 18 folds in the next 5 years. Unsay bot pasabot ani? The consumption of data or the amount of data that is being transferred across the internet supposedly would be 18 times larger than 18 times larger in the next 5 years. Okay? Now, the increase in mobile data traffic is driven by two factors. Of course, the increasing number of users, then the requirement of each users. Okay? Meaning, ang data consumption mismo. Sa una, when you're accessing the internet, okay, given the technology of the internet, sa una pod is, gamay ra, okay? Dili ingon nga dako nga amount of data at a given point of time ang ga-transfer. Okay? Let's say sa una, okay lang. Tanaw-tanaw ta og mga images, kung videos, tanaw tag mga videos nga mga dili kay high quality, say nga na. Karon, not only nga daghan na ang gagamit og cellphone using the internet, okay? The data that is consumed by them is significantly larger. Okay? This is also thanks sa technology nga kaning ato ang, di ba, katong gigon kanina, 3G, 4G, 5G, okay? Kani sila, they now allow a wider medium, okay? Mas daghan na gyud ang imuhang madawat, okay? So, pwede na ta karon makatanaw og high definition nga images, okay? Nga dili na magloading kaayo. We could even watch videos in 4K or in 1080p, 60 frames per second sa online sa YouTube, okay? You could even stream in real time. Okay, kana siya, those requires huge amount of data. So this growth will definitely be fueled by IoT connecting things with people, and more importantly, allowing people to monitor and control things from anywhere in real time. Okay? The key word here is in real time. Okay? So now it's feasible nga nanatay streaming. So streaming is a form of real-time communication. So with the introduction of IoT, with these things, with these people, so communication across these things would be at least in real time. So social network explosion, okay, or social media explosion. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and the adoption of cloud-based services are all examples of the large-scale migration to the cloud across virtually every industry. Okay? Ang buot pasabot ani is kaning Facebook, Instagram, ug Twitter dili lang niingon nga it encompasses only the personal lives. As what I've said earlier with ads, with targeted ads, this is now an avenue for the industry to generate more income. Okay? So all of this leads to data explosion, where the data being created in the internet each day is equal to half of all the data that's been communicated since the dawn of humanity. Okay? So supporting these kaning factors earlier stated, so not only that there is an adoption for the business side, or there's an impact in the business side aning social network, okay, but also, okay, daghan na pod. So, di ba, you as a businessman kibali, okay, you get to see that there is a sizable population. You want to have a market as much as possible to the majority of that population. Okay? So kaning mga ads sa YouTube, kaning mga Google ads, okay, even though you are accessing the site, not minding the internet cost, but you are accessing the site freely, but you are actually still targeted by ads, you are provided with ads, nga na. Okay? It is possible nga pag tuplok ninyo ng, let's say, you are interested with that product, tuplok ninyo ana, okay, then Google providing you the avenue for clicking that ad. If magpalit ka ana sa retailer, naibahin ang Google ana. Okay? So, imagine the amount, okay, the millions of people, okay, there is a percentage of that that relies on ads on social media to purchase. Okay, so not only that these businesses, the businesses gain revenue conveniently, but as a service, okay, as a medium for this to happen, kaning mga website, let's say Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, nakakwarta pod kay bahinan man na sila. Okay, mura na pod na og ikaw pod bitaw, why there are many YouTube personalities, why there is a boom for YouTube in content creation, kay in the presence of ads. Kana bitaw mga yellow diha nga mga linya sa inyohang sa tawag na kanang sa inyohang sa ubos kanang magdagan-dagan bitaw sa stream kanang mag-buffer. Okay, kay nanay ads, and if that content creator could somehow let the user either click those ad or finish playing that ad, Google would pay them a small amount. Mao gani nga gapaningkaamot po na ang content creators na po dayon nga ilahang content is tsada, okay, para mainganyo pod ang user nga pasagda ng ads nga magdagan in order for them to support their channel. Mao man na siya, it's a form of support for the channel to allow ads to be playing or not to skip ads. So nga na siya. So going back, okay, let's get to see na ay business side ning social network nga explosion. Okay, so analytics at the edge. Okay, so this is really more on the business side na gyud. Okay, kani siya, this is more on the murag na ay slight or small business aspect. Okay, murag na ay business operation across social media or social networking. Kani, this is really on businesses in a larger scale, okay, or in a grand scale. We have a thing called big data. So this refers to the extremely large amount of data being generated and accumulated by IT systems. This massive amount of data can be analyzed to identify patterns and gain insights into the operation of the associated system. So it involves statistical techniques which human processing is not viable due to the sheer amount of data. Okay? Buot pasabotan okay? A company or in a business, okay, they want to gather as much data as possible. Nga naman, based on this data, let's say data with regards to consumer purchases, okay, or product sales, or inventory levels, okay, naman ay pattern nga ilahang ma-derive ana. And based on that pattern, okay, ang pattern but pasabotan is recurring pattern, okay, they get to have an analysis or a pattern nga let's say kani nga bulan halinon ni or kani nga bulan dili, kani nga bulan daghan nga palit ani, or kani nga bulan mga naay murag competition nga mas kusog. So may ana nga data. Okay, they want to have that. Okay, now since that is a large amount of data and you want to analyze that, remember the importance of real-time operation in businesses. They want to analyze that as quickly as possible. Then they require specific systems for that. Okay, natay nga tawag nga big data analytics na dayon. Okay, in which dili na kaya sa usa lang sa tao or bisag daghan nga tao, it's not viable nga mag-rely ta sa human aspect kay tendency po aning human processing is napoy sayop, and we do not want to have that. We do not want to have that scenario nga masayop og interpret. Okay, so we want to be consistent and fast, and computers could be designed for that. So massive amount of data are being created at the edge of the network, and the traditional ways of performing analytics over that data are no longer viable. Okay, so again, minutes or even seconds of delay in data processing are no longer effective for many businesses. Kaya mao lagi the importance of real-time operations in industries. So to support this, companies have introduced massive solutions, okay, be it hardware and software, that allows enterprises to capture, process, and analyze data at the edge. Ang buot pasabot aning at the edge is kaning mura bitaw og it's always on the go. Okay? Mura ta gatawag na bleeding edge. Okay? So ang bleeding edge is kung diha tanan ng action. Okay? Diha tanan ng panghitabo. Okay? So you want to be in that constant area or time nga you are relevant. Okay? So mga nang buot pasabot ana. So cloud computing and virtualization. Okay? Cloud computing allows enterprises to outsource their computing infrastructure fully or partially to public clouds, be it in Amazon, Amazon AWS, Azure, or Google Compute Engine. So unsay bot pasabot ani. Okay? Sa una, ang usa ka kumpanya na sila dedicated nga computing nga room, okay? Or a room or an area of their company in which naadiha ang mga servers, okay? Ang mga tawag anak nila, mga database, data center nga na. Nowadays, there is a thing called cloud computing. With the advent of fast internet and cheaper access to the internet and cheaper services across the internet, okay, pwede nga mag-invest na ang usa ka kumpanya aning mga services that offers these services nga mabutang sa cloud, okay, or mabutang across the internet ang services, okay. Mura na og kanang sa we could say that kanang mga servers, in a way they could be part of cloud computing. Kanang mga servers nga let's say sa CMU, okay? So university na outsource ang servers sa cloud or online. So murag nga na ba nga you get to outsource, you get to remove the physical aspect of that across the cloud, okay? So advantage being, kaya ano advantage ana, okay? Security in a way nga locally, okay? Well, dili bitaw ingon at risk locally. Let's say kung masunog, okay? Or naay intruder anang a building, okay? So you are actually betting on then the security of the service of this Amazon, Google, and Microsoft nga mas secure ang ilang approach, okay? So naiuban nga gagamit og cloud computing, naiuban dili kay comfortable, okay? So kaning public cloud providers, they deliver cloud services. So kaning ang giingon kanina, on demand over the internet, where enterprises pay only for the CPU cycles, storage, or bandwidth they consume. Okay? Depende sa scale sa inyong operation, it could be more practical to have it your computing to have it secured or situated in the cloud. Okay? Kung ikaw gamay ra pud nga company, ang inyong gasto, recurring expenses sa pagbayad monthly sa cloud services is mas mahal, so ayan nilang ninyo nagamita. Okay, it really depends on the management. Okay, but certain companies are large enough in which they consider cloud computing as an option, a much better option. Okay, now cloud computing has actually been made possible because of virtualization. Okay, so virtualization allows cloud providers to divide a physical machine, for example a server, into multiple virtual entities, thereby creating an isolated virtual server. So a virtual storage device and virtual network resources for each enterprise, all running over the shared physical IT infrastructure. So buot pasabot ani. Okay? Sa Google, sa Microsoft, na sila dako kaayo nga hardware that could be virtually divided by these companies which are availing the services. Each division nanay murag virtual equivalent sa server, virtual equivalent sa storage, and virtual equivalent sa network devices. Okay, so they are all virtualized. That is why through the internet, okay, this virtualization could be then accessed by those availing this cloud computing. Okay, so mao na. So technology explosion, number 7. Okay, the technology itself, okay, the advancement of computing, the advancement of electronics pave way for IoT. Okay, so IoT hardware such as the sensors, Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and software technologies are not only being developed faster but also at a much lower price. Okay, so not only that they are advanced, they are capable, but mas barato na pod. Okay? Mabantayan ninyo ni. Okay? Sa Kani sa mga sa tong smartphone industry, okay? If you get to imagine, or if you get to recall the capabilities of smartphones a few years back than today, you get to compare nga the same set of features, okay, sa karon nga ginahimo siya mas barato na. Okay? So, ang mas mahal na dayon karon is of course katong mga features nga step up na. Okay? Or mas advanced. So, mao na. Such devices are already transforming user behaviors and creating new business opportunities. Okay? As what we've discussed earlier. So, business leaders are realizing that their organization must adapt quickly to such changes to stay relevant and efficient to survive in the increasing competitive marketplace. Okay? Mura man og this is the trend. Okay? This is the trend. This is where everyone is going. So if you do not want to be left behind, okay? You should adapt. Di ba? Kaya usually kanang maulahira pod, okay? Now, let's say kampante ra nga di lagi na bag-o man na, it will not click. It's a risk. Okay? But if you bet on that wrong, so you might be receiving the short end of the stick, meaning your company would be at a losing state. Okay? Mura na naog ka ng the story behind Nokia and its refusal to accept that Android is a viable option for progression. So kana. So karon murag ulahin na nga ni-adapt ang Nokia, and Nokia sa company underwent bankruptcy, transfer of ownership, to an extent nga dili na relevant ang Nokia karon kumpara sa una nga murag when you talk about smartphone, when you talk about cellular phones, okay, Nokia gyud ang tatak sa utok sa tao. Okay? But going back, technology explosion, okay? The technologies nowadays are not only getting more advanced, okay, but also cheaper. Then as a consequence of this, okay, we could develop faster and more practical solution, which ultimately will help IoT to evolve. So digital convergence and transformation. So the move to digital operation, extract data from various sources including the devices and processes, and then analyze the extracted data and correlate it with other data to extract intelligence that improves products and services. Sibot pasabot ani, okay? May communication nga kahitabo across different devices, in which part of their process is na ay mga enhancement sa service. Okay? So an example of this is kaning healthcare organization. Healthcare organizations have been using digital convergence for improving patients' experience, improving population health, and reducing healthcare cost. Okay? So with the help of wearables, okay, parehas aning kita nato, wearables sa iyang relo, which could somehow monitor the pulse rate. Okay? So either this would be a pulse meter or an oxygen meter. It could be interface with the smartphone na makabalo sila nga morning status, then also being connected to the internet. Okay, this could be assisted with the help of an healthcare expert, or okay, it could be accessed across anywhere. Okay, so this is just a basic implementation of how digital convergence is happening, or the transformation of the way data is being handled. So, mana siya. So, enhanced user interfaces. User interfaces that are frustrating to use and slow to extract relevant information can lead to customer desertion. Muna yung giingon kanina bitaw, nga kung hasulan ang usa ka end user o gamit ana nga butang, even though the intent of that service is okay, di sila ganahan. Okay? Mura bitaw o para sa ko ha, I myself, even though na ang no offense aning sa kanang mga customer mga customer service representative, okay, sometimes it's a much better user experience if ikaw ray magbuot sa imong pangitaon, okay, sa ana nga store kibalik. Okay, sometimes mong god na uban nga do not blame them since it's their job nga murag mo assist bitaw sa imuha without your without my explicit need for an assistance, okay, it could be a deterrent for me nga magpadayon pa og tanaw ana. Kay di man pod ako gusto nga mabastos siya nga ingnan nako nga ayaw ko hilabde, di ba? Lain man po na siya. Okay? So you might be inclined to just move out in that area. So na maragi nga na bitaw, na mga instances nga you could not blame them kay mauna ang ilahang function, okay? And you could not blame yourself kay you could it's not your experience yourself is being hampered. So na nga na, there's a balance. There's a balance of functionality and a balance of how the user will perceive that. Maunang it's a constant battle actually with developers, okay, with front-end developers nga how would they offer that service in a way nga dili siya samok, in a way that it enhances user experience. Na not only that they should not be annoyed with that feature, but as much as possible we would like them to enjoy or even to be enticed to invite others. So mao ginaamurag ato ang target ani mga specifically maning front-end developers, kay they are the one who interface the software to the end user. So we have the acronym called KISS. Okay, so KISS is keep it short and simple. Okay, sometimes it is applicable, okay, sometimes it's not, but as much as possible, okay, you will follow this principle para dili ingon samukan ang inyong user. So this principle state that most systems works best if they are kept simple. Okay? So under this principle, so natay simple and easy principle, the best user experience or UX, okay, you might have seen this. UX stands for user experience. This is the qualitative aspect of your user interface or of your system. UI or user interface, that is the interface, okay, the actual set of tools that user is using in order for it to communicate with your system. Okay, so the best user experience is a system most ideally without a UI. Okay, meaning murag straightforward ang inyuhang pagkuha sa data, but this is not really possible. Okay, so we lessen the layer of hindrance between services. Kay kita, di ba, maulagi, if you want to properly process data, we want it to be as structured as possible. But if you really want to enforce that structuredness sa user, it may be to a point nga hasulan siya kay daaghan kay restriction nga imong ibutang. Kana bitang sa your username should be ingana, your username should be ingana kataas, dapat wala ingana character. So naiuban nga mga user would tend samo ka hasol kaayo mangita na huglain. So mao na dayon. Okay, mao nang likayan, mao nang balance na gina-achieve. Okay, so simplicity should be a key goal in design, and unnecessary complexity should be avoided. So make sure the UI is consistent, stable, intuitive, and establish a clear visual hierarchy. So dili basta-basta, okay? Dili basta-basta mag-design na front end. Okay? So dili ta kaingon nga ang lisod man ni ako kay database back end man ni more on database, more on computation. Okay? Dili pud ta kaingon nga sayon ang trabaho ang sa front end. Kay nga naman dili immediate ang result sa back end, immediate man ang result nga kung may problema mag-error or dili ma-save or sayo pang format. But kani sa front end, you still need to wait for the actual testing. Kay bahalag unsay paminaw nimo nga okay na gamiton. Bahalag unsay paminaw sa uban sa imong kaila nga okay na gamiton. Wa ta kabalo if sa kadaghanan sa target nimo nga user if okay ba na. Okay? So kana. So we also have the contextual principle. Make sure that users are contextually aware of where they are within a system. Okay, it's very helpful. Kay naiuban nga mga system nga wala kay ga-follow ani nga matingala na lang ang user nga asa na ko dapit ani nga system, ga save ba ko or ga delete kay na confirmation box nga ning sulpot. Di ba kabalo, do you want to continue? Dahil murag kung ikaw, unsa niya kung last gihimo. Basig na more instances nga na ba? Especially if it entails multiple processes. Okay? Nga pag-trigger dayon ato nga confirmation. Okay? And also the human principle, make sure that the UI provides human interaction above the machine-like interaction. Okay? So, maning lisod nga aspect, usa sa lisod nga aspect. Okay? You want to imitate a human-like behaviors in your system. Okay? So, na gani na uban nga murag friendly, okay? Friendly, quote-unquote, ang ilahang mga pangutana. Okay? Or naay murag ilahang mood. You could actually set a mood of your system nga in a way nga medyo informal siya to imitate the human aspect for that conversation that you are attempting to create. Then engagement principle, make sure that the UI fully engages the user, delivers value, and provide a strong information sense. Okay? So it's not enough nga kanang sa tawag anay nga ginagamit, okay? Dapat engaging pod siya. Meaning, mas dako ang tendency ana nga user nga gamiton og dugay. Okay? Or in a amount of time nga dili siya ingon bitaw nga moabot sa point nga boring na or repetitive na kaayo. So kana engagement principle. Then of course, for it to be appealing, okay, for it to be aesthetic, there should be the beauty and delight principle. So make sure that the UX is enjoyable and make the user want to use the system or service. Now, where do we relate IoT for this? Okay, this is a very since IoT as a technology is still developing, okay, lisod, okay, medyo lisod mag-interface given that the technology is still young, okay. Murag maintaining this principle is list of a priority pa, okay, but if you can, mas maayo nga ma-introduce ning keys diretso. Okay, so kana, it's number 9. Number 10 is the fast rate of IoT technology adoption. So in relation to what has been previously discussed nga katong technology explosion, okay, so daghan na ang mga devices consequently nga pwede na ma-integrate. So integrate to generate or to create this IoT world that we are striving. So experts believe that there was a point of inflection, okay? And inflection is murag it's a pattern, it's a distinguishable pattern. Okay? And of inflection sometime between 2009 and 2010, where the number of connected devices began outnumbering the planet's human population. Now, these aren't just laptops, okay? So, this includes mobile phones and tablets. This is not just laptop, mobile phone, and tablets, but also includes sensors and everyday objects that were previously unconnected. So, sa una, expected man nga, okay, na internet, na mga mobile devices nga capable na connect sa internet, dugay ra ang PC, dugay ra ang laptop, but in between 2009 and 2010, nabantayan nila nga, since nag-explode na ning technology in which IoT devices, the things that we could connect to the internet is ning daghan na pod, so is this reflection na dayan, okay? So is this trend. So surveys and detailed analysis indicates that the adoption rate of such technology is 5 times faster than the electricity and telephony growth. Okay? So, in contrast aning electricity and telephony growth, okay, ang adoption rate, okay, or ang change, ang delta nga iyahang na gain sa pag-adopt. It doesn't necessarily mean the number, but the amount, the change in between this time, in a short amount of time nga ning boom ang adoption. So adding all of these physical object to IP network imposes a new and novel requirements on existing network models. So katong giingon kanina nga the dilemma on how are you going to uniquely identify these devices in your IoT network. So the rise of security requirements, okay? This is always the case. So every time that there is data involved, there are human involved, safety of health, safety of financial data, okay, or resources, tanan, okay? Anything that concerns your life, okay, there is always an issue, or there is always a concern of security, okay? So security expanded to cover personal privacy, financial transaction, and the threat of cyber robbery. Today, security of the network is being expanded to include safety or physical security. Okay? Both pasabot ani, since nananing IoT, and it intends to connect you, okay? You yourself as a person would be a thing in the internet. Then you are subject to new security concerns. Okay? In fact, the damage caused by cyber attacks in the IoT era will have a direct impact on all the physical objects that you use in your daily life. Okay? So, dili lang sa actually sa imong object, but ikaw mismo, okay? You could be targeted sa, let's say, mahak ng imong pacemaker. Okay? A pacemaker is a device that aids your heart to beat properly. Okay? Or mahak ang inyong wearable device. Okay? Or inyong mga wearables. Di ba? It's a more trouble, it's a more troubling concern na gani nga mahak inyong smartphone. How much more nga kaning devices that are that is your health, that is where your health relies heavily, or to an extent nagrely ang healthiness ninyo, or ang nagrely ang inyong life essentially, di ba? What if na ay mag-hack sa inyong pacemaker that is connected to the internet nga mag-introduce og irregular nga heartbeat? So that would endanger your life. Okay? So the same applies to smart cars, as wireless control capabilities give the attackers ability to control the wipers, radio, door lock, brakes, and steering wheel. So usab pod ni, okay? So kaning mga car itself is like, some would consider that as a time bomb. Kay sooner or later, okay, but hopefully dili gyud mahitabo, but naagi chances nga mahitabo nga madisgrasya. How much more if you rely or you are connecting that to the internet, okay? That could be controlled, that could be accessed by others, giving way for unauthorized control of your car. So, posible dayon nga ma-endanger na pud imong life. So, as what I've said earlier, an attacker can control implantable and wearable health devices, so such as insulin pumps and heart pacemakers, by hacking the link that connects them to the control and the monitoring system. Okay? So, dili na to malikayan. Okay? Ang kuan is dili na to malikayan that since we are diving into a new world, we are diving into a new area of lifestyle. Okay? A new area of way of living. Okay? Napoy new problems nga mag-arise ana. New security problems, new health concerns, new human ethics. Okay? So these are one of the factor. Then finally, the non-stop Moore's law, or the Moore's law. Okay? The Moore's law, okay, it simply states that as years progress, there's a certain point that there's a doubling of the amount of transistors. Okay? So over the history of computer hardware has been doubling approximately every 18 months. Okay, mo ng Moore's law. This relates to the fact that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit has been growing by 2-folds every 18 months. Okay? Meaning, gakagamay ang component, but it doesn't necessarily mean gakagamay ang computing power, but that's the opposite. Okay? Computing power could be achieved at a smaller scale. So silicon transistor storage technology size has continued to shrink over the years and is approaching atomic level. Okay? So for years now, we've been putting more power and more storage in the same size device. Okay? There is ang density Okay, ang computing density gakadako. Okay? So the price of transistor is even, okay, paving way of this Moore's law. Okay? The price of transistors is being reduced by more than 50% every year. Okay? So kana. So ang density, okay, the density of how much computing power you could pack in a small area, okay, is getting larger over time. Okay? Since technology advances to a point nga pwede nga dako nga computing power mahimo nimo na siya. Let's say sa una, ang computing power nga mahawiran nimo sa usa ka kamot, okay, is just the computing power of a calculator. Karon, okay, ang computing power nga mahawiran nimo sa imong kamot is equivalent to a supercomputer a few decades back, okay, or even a computer a few years back. So kana, mao na ang, that is one effect of the Moore's law. So you get to see here some of the diagrams. Okay, the transistor size across the relation of the transition size, okay, as it increases, okay. So sa increasing nga size niya plotted against the year. As you get to see, samtang diri nga point sa 2009 ingani kadako, it is usually measured in nanometers, okay. So sa 2009 mga 29 nanometers, okay. As the years progress, that transistor offering the same capability has shrunk in size, okay. So as you get to see here, the same, we could say the same capability transistor is now 13 or in between 12 and 14 nanometers na in 2018. And also with that is, let's say, the price of this transistor. So they are directly proportional, meaning as well as the size is decreasing, the price is also decreasing. So here is also a diagram showing you the IoT unit installed based by category. So kuan lang ang inyuhang ma-infer ani, inyuhang ma-pull out ani nga data is every year, okay, there's a large amount of IoT devices being integrated, okay, in our day-to-day life. Okay, so sa generic business, sa vertical business, okay, as you get to see gakadako, okay, meaning ang adoption rate, this is supporting the adoption rate component or factor is getting larger, okay, or is faster, I mean, okay. So the adoption is faster, the integration becomes larger. Kani, okay, this is one of the, siguro you might be wondering why this is happening, especially in the smartphone industry. Okay, IoT estimate business revenue and from enterprise. Okay, so this is revenue comparison between ang ilang halin sa pamaligya og hardware o ilang halin sa pag-offer og services in form of software. Okay, so dere, okay, this is in billions so kani kwarta ni nga aspect, kani year, kaning blue, this represents the hardware earnings, kaning orange, this represents the service and software earnings. As you get to observe, okay, kaning mga IoT, kaning mga businesses nowadays, okay, mas gamay ang ilang halin, okay, through the years, even though gadako, but compared sa software and service and software nga ilang gina-offer along with this hardware, mas dako ilahang makwarta. Okay, that is the reason why natay makita nga mga I am relating this to cell phone, but this is actually applicable to any hardware that has software services, but this is more prevalent, this is more evident sa smartphone industry. Okay, if you're wondering why kaning mga smartphone nga tan-aw nimong hardware, okay, parehas ra sila sa kanang, let's say, sa high end, let's say Samsung and Xiaomi. Okay, sa Xiaomi na sila yung mga flagship nga mga specs nga i-compare nato sa flagship specs sa Samsung, okay, maura, more or less parehas ra, but the price greatly differs. Natay mapalit nga, let's say, tag 20,000 nga Xiaomi. Nga ang equivalent nga phone sa Samsung is 50,000. So more, let's say, more than twice. Na ganiban 60,000 pa. Okay, so 3 times kibali. You might be wondering, how does Xiaomi gain revenue from this? Nga, in a hardware aspect or in a hardware perspective, lugi sila. Okay? Lugi sila kay unsa may lang halin, mura sila gapanghatag, mura sila gansi, sila punan. They are actually banking on their software service. Okay? Xiaomi has a multitude numbers of services. Okay? Now, ilang target actually, ang lahang pinakadako nga market is on China, of course. So, ilang market dito, okay, is they are targeting more on the service that they provide. So, naanay mga subscription, okay? Kana mga subscription, okay? Kana mga upgrades, mga app purchases, diha sila makabawi. Okay? Diha sila makabawi sa ilang revenue. Okay? We could not question, we might be wondering, ngano ang Samsung dili nga na? We could not really say, kay mauna pod ang ilahang business model na nila pod. But, it's safe to say nga, it's working in Xiaomi's part. Okay? So, sa ato lang, sa kita lang po, murag naka-bonus na lang po tas here in the Philippines, kay ma-avail man nato ilahang products. Okay? We could also avail the services, but as a consequence, we get to have an option. We get to have an option nga mas barato. If you're only concerned with the specs, na may uban nga mag-purchase lang tungod sa specs. Okay? So, mas mupalit yun sila atong mas barato. Kay parehas man sila, okay? Para sa katong nga mga tao makaingon sila nga, why would I settle for something that is technically more expensive if I could avail a more affordable one? Nga parehas naman sila, most like spec wise, para sa processor, RAM, storage, para sila Android, para sila latest version. So, they are banking on, in Xiaomi's case, their services and software. Okay? So again, this is also evident to those products which have software in their hardware. Okay? Kana mga wearables, so na-appeal na sila. Okay? So kana. So we could not say that Samsung is not interested in that aspect. Okay? But naman po ingon nga kuan. Naman po uban driving force nga nang usa ka smartphone is mahal. It doesn't only concern with the actual manufacturing, but napoy ka na mga third party support, third party nga kanang help, okay? Or reliability nga they have gained with their reputation for being a strong presence sa market. Why would they kanang lower their price if it constitute to a better quality experience? Ano po nga na kinay uban nga gaingon nga, let's say Xiaomi barato raman na, pero kung madaot na wala kay padulngan. So mao po nang sa Samsung, mas dako ang imuhang chances nga if madaot imuhang Samsung nga device, especially if it's a high-end model, daghang service center. Kay igastuan na sa Samsung pod nga na mga service center, okay? Na mga planta nila across the world, okay? So kana. So mao pod na ang ilahang business model. Okay? So that ends our discussion for chapter 1. So this is just an overview, okay, of really the framework, okay, the approach of this course in IoT. Okay? So if you have questions or concerns, feel free to post that in the comment section sa YouTube or sa classwork section where this would be posted. Okay? So I think that's enough. So thank you for listening. I hope that I get to explain some of the aspects here. I hope nga wala mo samot na libog. Okay? So ako alang point ani nga discussion is to somehow give you an expanded explanation on why these things are cited here. Okay? So kana lang, thank you for listening, then see you on the next, okay, or expect another set of lecture notes and its respective lecture videos. Okay? So expect some posting sa mga assignment regarding ani nga topic, and of course posting for the quiz regarding this topic. Okay? So thank you for listening, and that ends our video.